This is the regular monthly meeting of the Austin City Planning Commission, Tuesday, March 15th, 2016. We have a couple items on the agenda. Before getting into that, I'll ask the commissioners to look at the minutes from our last meeting, which was on December 15th. And are there any corrections, additions, changes? If not, I will ask for a motion.
So moved that we accept them as is.
Motion to approve the minutes by Commissioner Bremner.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mino. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
I've already looked at these quite a bit, so if you need to flip through them, remember yourself.
The first item on the agenda is to consider a request from AALSEC School District, who has a purchase agreement with St. Edward's Church for the property formerly known as Corcoran Center. The parcel has been divided from a church property, and the school district proposes to operate a school at that location in an R1 single-family residential district, which is allowed with a conditional use permit.
Okay, not get, oh.
Can you bring that here?
Check.
Can you bring that here? He needs one.
Yeah, I do too.
You can keep that one and I'll just grab one from her.
The first matter, as Commissioner Keim noted, is the Austin, it's a new school district is being created. It's called the Austin Albert Lee Special Education Co-op. This would encompass the north property of what was formerly part of St. Edward's Catholic Church and also known as the Corcoran Center. The school district has a purchase agreement to buy that property that is set to happen in April. The district has made some plans I've included in your packet showing the existing conditions and the proposed conditions. The property historically has been used as a school during the existence of St. Edward's. And then most recently it was used for a Head Start program and Apple Lane Child Care Center. The property could have continued as a non-conforming use. However, the typical expiration for that is about a year, and they didn't know if they would get into the property within that 1 year time period. And from my perspective, it would be just better for them to go ahead and pursue the conditional use permit since it is an allowed use in an R1 district, the school. They have, so the area that the surrounding uses and the area in which it's located is an R1 single family residential zone. The, let's see here. The subject, the ordinance that is the subject of this matter is 11.30 subdivision 3B, which allows a school in an R1 zone with a conditional use permit. The requirements that the Planning Commission should take into consideration when deciding whether to grant a conditional use permit are the following: that the use will not create an excessive burden on existing parks, schools, streets, and other public facilities and utilities, that the use will be sufficiently compatible or separated by distances or screening from adjacent agricultural or residentially zoned or used land to minimize any negative effects on the existing homes in the area, that the structure and site shall have an appearance that will not have an adverse effect upon the adjacent residential properties. In this instance, the Property would stay pretty similar. They are doing substantial renovations on the interior. The exterior shows in the proposed site modifications, they would take out a drive on the west or east side along 19th Street Northwest, and that would become some additional green space. The parking that's required is adequate for the use. They expect a maximum of 80 students, but believe they'll have about 50 enrolled at this time. And they expect to have 3 buses servicing the school. So there would be 3 drop-offs, 2 on one end and 1 on the other. I can't remember if it's the north and east or if it was the opposite. The use should be consistent with the purpose of the zoning chapter and the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use. The use will not cause traffic hazard or congestion. The existing businesses, which would be, well, technically the church is existing in that area, would not be affected by curtailment of customer trade because of intrusion of noise, glare, general unsightliness. The use would not unnecessarily cause destruction of any natural features. Like I had indicated, this area would be pretty much the same as it is now, but nicer, but upgraded. The school district intends to put some money into it to make it improvement from where it has been at this point. The other things that the Planning Commission should consider or may consider is the geographic area involved, whether the use would depreciate the area, character of the surrounding area, the demonstrated need for the use, whether the proposed use would again cause any smoke, gas, noise, or other things that would be detrimental to the surrounding properties. And the Planning Commission could impose any additional conditions that they consider necessary to protect the best interests of the surrounding area or the city as a whole. And what we had recommended was just that the drop-off and pickup configurations be verified and approved by the city engineer. I think that's been pretty well sorted out. We did verify the off-street parking requirements in compliance, which they are in compliance. And clarifying the hours of operation, there may be some nighttime activities at that location, but they don't have a full gym, so it wouldn't be like a spectator type situation. It would be more like a practice maybe for a sports team. And then we would ask that they minimize any possible nuisance from lighting to the residential area around them if they do happen to have any nighttime events.
So all of your concerns as stated then have really been addressed, and is there any reason to?
Yes, and yes, it seems that they have taken into consideration the existing area. It doesn't seem like anything is going to be changed in dramatically. It's been used as a school building for many years and will continue to be used as a school building. Really, I think the school district is always looking for some additional space for their programs, and this was a good reuse for them since it already fit a lot of the requirements that they needed.
Holly, what are going to be the ages for the school?
You know, that's one thing I don't know. I don't know the age group.
So we don't know if these are going to be elementary up through 6th grade, or, because typically it was a child care and a Head Start, which is
True.
all small children, and, you know, I don't know if it makes a difference or not, if there's older children on the grounds
Right,
or
like
not,
you're
but
thinking
I'm
there
just
might be
wondering.
kids loitering around or something, or walk into the school.
I think the purpose of this building, that related to it being a special education school district co-op, is that it will be profoundly disabled students.
Okay.
So.
My understanding is it was children with disabilities, but I'm not sure the range of disabilities.
Okay.
Yeah, my understanding is it's a setting where the disability is so profound that they have to be away from general population, and they want the entire place sort of geared toward that. So I don't know that they would even have sort of age guidelines, but it'd be more about, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm extrapolating, but I guess
Yeah.
that would make sense if they had to combine a couple of school districts to get 50 kids to go to one location.
And you had said like 50 to 80, right? Or up to 80?
They could accommodate up to 80, which is what I use to determine the parking requirements, but they're expecting about 50 students, is my understanding.
And this is Monday through Friday?
Again, that I don't know. I would assume that it would be normal school hours, and they did say that they had some evening hours. I assume with other kids, middle school or whatever, that might be using the facility,
I
they
think
have a small
typically it was used in
gymnasium.
that manner anyway, so I don't know that that would be that big of a deal.
How many employees, teachers, we know?
I do not know. I think they said, actually, I believe they said they had 3 staff parking spots that they needed. But I'm imagining there must be,
There must be more than that.
there must be other staff that's necessary at that facility.
And so Holly, it looks like they're just taking over where the existing Head Start and Child Care Apple Lane used to be, right? They're not taking over any of the Corcoran Center?
No, they're taking over that whole property, actually,
Okay.
so let me show you if I have one with the property line on here.
There's the property line.
Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, the whole.
Commissioner Mino found it.
Yep, the whole building is
Yeah, I see it now. Thank you.
marked off here.
I would imagine when they say it's only staff of 3 for parking, probably because of the condition of these students, staff will be coming with them. As you'll see at the high school at times, you'll see that the staff actually is bringing those kids into the school.
Okay.
They're on the bus with them and everything.
I think the other factor with staff parking is the school hours and church hours are not often going to overlap or conflict, and so that shared parking can be utilized, and there shouldn't be very many times, if any, where staff would be taking up church spots or vice versa.
It seems like it worked like that with Head Start and Apple Lane, too. I mean, it was a very compatible use for the church, and that's why historically I think it worked well.
Yeah, I agree. I would foresee that the hours that they typically are most active would be complementary between the church and the school. But they are still required to have
Their own.
the minimum number of parking required by code, so which they have.
And so they're showing an easement, so I assume that's so that they can access some of that parking near the south entrance end.
Correct.
Is there a timeline when they hope to, is there a start time, a date?
They're ready, the reason that, so normally we would have them, this is a joint petition between the school and the church. Normally, we would just have the property owner petition, they're just chomping at the bit to get moving. They want to start doing their asbestos abatement and other things that they need to do in order to remodel. So I would imagine they want to have the facility up and operating this fall. And I can't remember if that was specifically stated, but that is my understanding. Actually, maybe even this summer.
The plan is to
Possible.
open the cooperative partway through the 2016-17 school year, once renovations to the facility are complete, according to the newspaper.
Perfect.
So would it be, it's not year-round then, is it in sync with the school calendar? I mean, just as not that it's a huge question, but as far as the attendance there and the activities around that site,
Correct.
only through the school?
Would be the same as essentially follow the school district.
The newspaper article says that this is going to help free up space in the Austin High School Annex building currently used for this program.
So the 4 staff recommendations are, in order to make a motion, do you want those included? I mean, they aren't specific as, just that it should meet the off-street parking, really the hours of operation. I don't know if we can really put without knowing what that is, I don't think that can be
No, I
part of the
don't.
conditional use.
I don't think that that's necessary to add to the conditions.
Do they plan on exterior lighting? Or was that part of the discussion at all?
Not anything that
probably a
isn't
little-
already there, to the best of
Okay.
my knowledge.
Okay. Do we have anything from the public, maybe?
I would just say that anything that I would just ask that they minimize any lighting nuisance to the surrounding properties. minimize any nuisance that may be caused by their activities or any outdoor lighting or anything that might create a nuisance.
Okay. Yeah, this is an open public hearing, so I'm not, is there anyone here who wishes to speak to this? State your name and address, please.
Richard Murphy, 103 20th Street Northwest. I thought as long as I came down in the rain, I might as well talk. I look around this room, and I haven't been in here for almost 30 years. I worked for the city for 35 years. This has changed a little bit, much for the better. I live on 20th Street Northwest, right out the south driveway of St. Edwards. You leave the parking lot, if you kept on going, you could come in my front door. I have absolutely no objections to this use. My children went to school there, and when it first opened, we had over 200 students. This is going to be a bit smaller. An addition like this would be welcome compared to some of the things we've had going on there. So, and I have no objections, and evidently nobody else does. It was a beautiful legal description, but I didn't have any idea what they were going to take up, but it's pretty clear here.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Did letters go out to the neighborhood?
Yeah, they did. We did send letters out, and I had received no phone calls or any comments or concerns about the project.
Okay, if any other questions, discussion?
It's just for this co-op to use this facility, is that correct?
Yeah, and I'm not sure about all the liability or why, and maybe it's because they need more students to create the kind of program that they need, but it is just specifically this Austin, Albert Lee area special education cooperative. So there'll be a separate entity, although obviously the Austin School District is, moving the ball down the court for sure. But at some point, it will be taken over by this new organization.
And they don't intend to use the gym? They're going to remodel the gym?
My understanding is they would use the gym.
Okay.
But not for necessarily, to my understanding, not for any public events, but for maybe some practices and things like that, just to have some extra space.
That would be my only question is, you give the school district another gymnasium, another building, are they going to want to use that as a venue down the road to, hold basketball games?
I mean, you could add
or
a
hockey or anything else, then you might have traffic and parking.
They'd have to do extensive renovations. It's not,
Okay.
gymnasium is a kind of a
Generous.
generous, yeah.
Okay.
Not only that, it actually isn't going to be the Austin Public Schools. It's going to be the Austin Albert Lee Public School program, and they're going to be jointly funding it, so it'd be hard for Austin to take over and use the facility. They're being involved in it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that, is this a recommendation or approval?
This is a approve or deny.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we approve a conditional use permit as requested with the conditions that off-street parking meets the city code requirements, and that any outdoor lighting be minimized. And a third one will, the bus drop-offs obtain city engineer approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
Good by Commissioner Mino, second by Commissioner Bremner. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is to consider a request from Runnings, 1400 18th Avenue Northwest, to sell up to 12 utility trailers at their Austin store location in a B2 Community Business Zone. The request is pursuant to City Code Section 11.56, Subdivision 1.
If you're not familiar, Runnings is off of 18th Avenue, the former Kmart store. The property is used as a commercial business, hardware, farm implement type business. The utility trailers, you know, I didn't put a picture of that in here, but it would be kind of the, probably about 12 foot, maybe a little longer, with the open rails on the sides and the gate in the back. I don't know if they have any out there right now, probably, hopefully not, but they are located in a B2 community business zone, which allows sale of implements, trailers, automobiles with a conditional use permit. So they were asking to place approximately 12 utility trailers on the property for sale to the public, and they have pretty substantial space in the parking lot. They emailed me this Google map with the X's, so that's why you have the kind of the purple X's on the one page. So it shows that they want to place their trailers along the west side of their property, which kind of borders, that's 218, and is behind Applebee's, which they have kind of a screen there, and it looks like there's a lot of other materials located in that outdoor area as well. The same conditions apply in this instance as did in the former school district matter. The use will not create an excessive burden, will be sufficiently compatible with the existing area and zoning of that area. The structure and site shall have an appearance that will not have an adverse effect on adjacent properties. The use is reasonable. The use is consistent with the zoning chapter and purposes of the zoning district. Will not cause traffic hazard or congestion. Existing businesses would not be adversely affected. Take into consideration the geographic area involved. Whether the use would depreciate the area, the character of the surrounding area, demonstrated need for the use, and whether the proposed use would cause any orders or anything like that. We would just ask that as conditions that they be limited to the area where they've indicated they wish to place the trailers, which is the west side of the parking lot. And then that the storage area would be paved as required by city ordinance. And that area is paved at this point, so.
Holly, they're requesting 12, but what if they get this granted and they decide they're going to do 25 or 30 or whatever? I mean, are we
They'd
kind of
have to come
limiting-
back and have do an amendment to their conditional use permit.
Okay.
And then probably someone would have to complain about it too, but, I mean, typically, you know, the average person wouldn't know what the conditional use permit terms were. You know, I mean, I would, and you may recall potentially, but it would be something that I would look up if they suddenly had a bunch of things out there that weren't typical.
I guess I question, why aren't they allowed just to sell trailers out there? I mean,
Well, you know, it seems like a perfectly logical place
Yeah.
to do that, in that it's not going to bother anybody, but, you know, it could be any kind of store. I mean, if we just had that as if you allow it in any commercial area, you know, Hy-Vee could have trailers and farm implements for sale out in their parking lot too, and, you know, in the mall when it was a mall, or, you know, and just to kind of create a little bit extra review to make sure it really suits the area that it's being
I think they've been
implemented in.
selling trailers.
Yeah, I think they probably have. They probably have. I think what happened is
If you
some,
look at the picture, there's quite a few trailers, I think, showing.
yeah, and they're not just people stopping to shop, probably.
Really?
They,
several of those buildings that are, 15 by 15 also sitting there.
yeah, those are, we've talked about that too.
Do those need a conditional use?
That can be separate. No, those are actually allowed, so.
Those are allowed.
Yeah.
Trailers are.
So our B2 community business district does allow a lot of uses, which there can be some residential, and so we're always trying to look at how might the neighboring property be affected. In this area, it's all commercial. It's really not as much of a concern. It seems a little silly, yes, to have them come in here and do the conditional use permit process that everyone else has to go through, but that's what I'm working with.
I drive by this 5 days a week, every week for quite a while, and they have a fenced-in area, and then they have, some of their items are positioned outside of the fence, but driving by, it's very neatly arranged, everything is lined up. It's very attractive. I've talked to some of the employees that work in neighboring businesses. They actually appreciate it because it's a draw to that area.
Good.
And it's a big parking lot, so, you know, and it is off to one side, so it's not in any major thoroughfare that, you know, where you've got people flying through there.
Well, and there's an additional requirement that they, anytime they sell trailers or anything that has a license on it, they have to go through the Department of Public Safety and have to do a zoning certificate. So that's kind of what generated the whole process, is they came in and said, can you sign this? And I said, you know, well, there's no conditional use permit and you're required to have one, so then you need to go through the planning commission. So that's, they needed a document signed. So if you have any, do you have any other questions or any concerns about this particular matter? So this would be either this would be an approve or deny.
I move that we approve the request for your staff recommendations, number 1 and 2.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Bremner to approve.
Second.
Did you happen to say staff recommendations? I didn't hear.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
And we have a second from Commissioner Stewart.
I didn't
Any
hear.
other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right.
Any other business for us, Holly?
Only one thing that I would mention is that since we adopted the extraterritorial subdivision jurisdiction scheme for our ordinances, we might be looking at potentially getting a committee together to work on clarifying our subdivision ordinance and getting that to work with the county zoning ordinances. And so if anybody's interested in doing that, and I've been talking to Angie Knish, my counterpart with the county, just trying to find some time for everybody to get together and start talking about that. That's it.
One other question, did your interim use permit, is that going, that's going to be into ordinance?
Right, yep, so an update on that. The interim use permit was passed by the city council last council meeting. So that will be effective now, if not already, very soon, if not already. And that will be very interesting to see how we can fit maybe some of our recreational providers, you know, into that, some of our again, the organic growers, produce, and some urban agriculture, maybe some, you know, just I think there's just a lot of ways that particular permitting scheme could be used that would just fill a hole that we don't have, that we don't have good, seems like we're just telling people no, even if it's something that probably wouldn't have a great impact. And so this is an opportunity to maybe accommodate some uses that would be good for the city and for these people that are trying to come up with some great ideas.
Okay, good. Okay, nothing else? I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Bremner,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Spinhour. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.